Welcome to Coaching in Session,
where limits end and growth begins.
Hosted by Michael Rearden.
This is your space to challenge the ordinary,
unlock your potential,
and step boldly into your next chapter.
Your mindset journey continues.
Welcome, Lauren Madeira, to Coaching in Session. How are you doing today?
Doing very well. Thank you for having me.
Of course. Today we're going to be talking about your work. You do so many different things. You are a consultant, you are a mindset mentor, and you're the founder of the Daydreamer Journal. And if you know anything about me, I'm a daydreamer at heart. Even though I do a lot of things, I like results. Daydreaming is a pastime of mine. I remember when I was in elementary school and I would be daydreaming when I'm in English class, when I'm in spelling class. And this is probably why I did so bad in those in those subjects. I was really good at math, but everything else, it was my daydream time. And I would get home and I would get yelled at because I would get bad grades on my report cards. And my parents didn't know why. And it was because I was a daydreamer at heart. I wanted to be at home playing my Ninja Turtles and my Mario and riding my bike and getting yelled at to come home when the lights came on and getting bit by all these mosquitoes. But that was something I treasured, where I now look at daydreaming as my vision. What can I look at in my life for what I want to see for the goals later on? And I know sometimes people, they get mixed up with their daydreams and the actions they have to take toward getting them. So today we're going to bridge that gap between our dreams and the reality that we're currently living. And the work that you do is going to be definitely helping people with that aspect. But if you could, can you tell the world who you are, what you do, and of course, how you help people?
So I'm Lauren Madeira. I definitely understand the daydreaming process, as I am a major dreamer. And so as a conscious venture capitalist, we have people that come to me and say, this is my dream. This is what I want to do, but I can't do it. I don't know how, and it's not for me. And so what I really learned from this process is that there's this gap between dreaming and doing. And so I created the Daydreamer Journal specifically to help people identify what they want to do, believe in themselves, live in a space of gratitude so they understand that they really do hold a lot of tools. They are not imposters. They really have embodied it, but it takes plan to action. And so with the journal, we create a step to break up those goals into bite-sized pieces, allowing them to have those instant gratifications, those little tiny wins along the process. And I formatted it in a 2-month rather than a 3-month, 2 months to see yourself actually bring some of those into fruition. And so you can start using that as the catalyst to go to the next goal and to continue to grow into your ultimate goal. And just using those habit stacking, micro stacking every single day, better and better. And so that's where my work as a consultant is really understanding that mindset is absolutely everything. You can have a really great idea, but if you don't execute it, you don't stick with it, you don't believe that you can have it, it most likely will not come into fruition. And that's so unfortunate because I hear a lot of times, we see it on TV all the time, I had that idea, but then someone else did it. Or I could do that. I could actually do that a lot better, but they're like winning a Grammy, And so it's not that you're better or they're less or vice versa. It's that they continued to move forward, and somewhere within themselves, they believed in themselves. And so I'm very well aware that we don't always have the foundation. We don't always have the friend group. So I've come up with a lot of ways to support you free and help you get to the point where you can actually start investing in yourself. And then maybe even get to the point where you can raise capital.
Yeah, I like this idea of belief to start off our conversation because it's so powerful, where people, if you ask if they believe in themselves, it's going to probably be an argument. Like, do I? It's like, I don't know. Sometimes I believe in myself. Some, like for the things I do all the time, I know I can do.
Right.
Some things are more believable. Like when you see someone do it, you're like, oh, if they can do it, I can do it too. But then sometimes when they try it, they're like, wow, I didn't realize how challenging or tough that would be. And then that belief starts to fade away. Even though they know in their mind that it is possible or plausible for them or for it to occur in their life, they basically take an approach of maybe it's not for me. Maybe that's not my path. Maybe this is not my season. So there's a lot of limits that start to develop maybe in some of the things that they should be doing in their life, because there was that hiccup, there was that obstacle. And so I wanted to talk to you about this idea of belief. How powerful can it be if we tune it into the right frequency?
Well, when it is in the right frequency, if you've noticed, when you're in the wrong frequency, I think that's where you start.
Hmm.
You'll start to see little key things that you do. You pick up the phone and you start bouncing off ideas to your friends, to your family. You tell them everything that you're thinking. You're very excited, and they tell you their experience or why they don't think that you can do it, or you can do that a little bit differently. And then it starts to break your belief in yourself and your specific idea. But have you ever seen when you're on the right frequency and you just have a deep knowing? You're so busy that you actually meet up with your friends and go, wait, how long has it been since I've talked to you? I didn't tell you that I started this venture. I'm on episode 9 or whatever. And it's because you don't need that external validation, because you have a deep knowing and you're looking for the internal validation, and you're just off and running. And a lot of times you'll actually see and laugh that you've hit so many walls between those conversations and the initial idea with your friends. You're going to realize, wait, I haven't even told them I've hit like 10 walls. I'm in 9 episodes, but I got through all of them because I had an inner belief. So when we stop on the frequency of external validation, and we have that deep knowing, that's why meditation, journaling is so important. It's all about ourselves, the story about ourselves. When we're very in tune with ourselves, that's when we know I'm ready to go. And so I'm not trying to say, be recluse and stay in your house and don't talk to anybody, but it's to understand where you are and to be able to have that inner knowing so that when you are ready to start going out into the world, into the frequency where you're going to start having these other situations come and disrupt you, that you're able to have such a strong belief that you can debunk the naysayers. And so in the Daydreamer Journal, we do go through some weekly workshops to help you do that. And again, it's the frequency of always understanding plan to action and belief, self-trust.
I love where this conversation is going because I don't even think, I'm quite a lot of episodes in, and I haven't really
Yes.
talked about internal and external belief, where I know I hint at it probably every episode, but to really
Right.
bring it to light, you and me are going to go down a path that has never been walked before, where
Yay.
we look at it, external belief. Let's start there, right? External belief. I think of my children, right? They're young. Maybe they can have some belief in themselves, the confidence they get from doing things, etc., like walking, right, for the first time. You're a little shaky, you're fearful. Before you take the first step, you decide to fall to the ground. You're like, oh, this is too crazy for me, right? So until you get used to it, the belief of walking or just being able to do it is not second nature yet, right? It's just something you're going to be fully focused on. Now, we can fast forward to today. You and I, we can walk to the refrigerator, we can walk to our mailboxes, and it's not something we think about. But at one point in our life, it was something that we thought about so vividly. We're like, I can see myself from here and I want to get there. And we can even look at it in different ventures of I'm here in my life right now, my business, whatever it be, and I want to be there. It's that walk. It's that same idea of can I take that first step? Now, the external bit when I'm dealing with my daughter, as an example, she's the most recent walker, is when she stands up and she takes that first step. I'm telling you, I'm probably the one of the biggest cheerleaders she has right now in her life. I'm like,
Right.
yay, I'm clapping and I'm cheering, and you can see the smile on her face. And she's like, yes, I did it, right? That's that external, that belief I'm giving her, like that support, that celebration. And of course, it's going to one day go into that internal where she's doing things and she's like, I did this for me. Now, of course, there is going to be a separator there. Like there's going to be a moment where we say, okay, I'm not looking for the external belief anymore because I have a good foundation of it. And now I'm going to start to look at the more internal belief of let me look at what I can do. Can I believe in me? And if you have a strong foundation growing up from your parents, from your teachers, from your peers, where they are supportive, then it's going to be easier to step into that internal belief. But when you don't have a good, strong foundation, I can't imagine how difficult it is going to be for people to even believe in themselves, especially if they didn't have that support system where someone was clapping for their first step, and not only talking about their baby steps. I'm talking about their first step in their podcast or their business or whatever they're doing. That right there, that mark, right, that external and that internal, how can people start to look at it in a way to develop it if they haven't developed it, number one? And then the other part to it is how can they enhance it to be better than what it is today if they had a strong foundation?
So it's all about your mindset and the way you look at it. And that clearly comes down to alchemy and to be able to alchemize your situation and to be very truthful. So we have a lot of people out there that say, I want to manifest. I'm going to repetitively say things that aren't really happening. And then soon enough, they're going to come into fruition. And I'm here to say that that is not true. So while we sit there and say, as my kids too have a very strong foundation, as your daughter will continue to have, that is absolutely wonderful. I will tell my kids over and over, because I do not mince my words. Sometimes those children that did not have the greatest foundation, did not have the people supporting them, that were down in the dumps, they go further, better, stronger than our kids might, because they do not use it as the crutch. And what they have learned is self-belief, because they have gone through stuff. And when you go through stuff, you have grit, and the grit is what is going to pull you. So if you have that strong foundation, use it as a catalyst and go, I am really blessed. Now, what am I going to do with it? Straight talk. Now, if you haven't had that foundation, then you have to go, let's build the toolbox. And let's go through and face my story and go through and see, what were my hardships? How did I go through it? And what exactly did I learn from it? Because I certainly am not going to go through it again. And as you figure out what that taught you, you go, that's a tool. So you can journal that. So as you journal those tools, you start to actually think of yourself armored with tools. When you have that tool set and you're up against somebody that's just have a very blessed life, lovely for them, our children,
Mm-hmm.
and then you have the ones that have the tool belt, they have that confidence. They have a confidence too that's just a little bit different. These people have a confidence of, I have a deep knowing that I've got some grit, I have nothing to lose. I've got this tool belt around me and I'm going to get going. Do they have the community? Our kids have the community, but the ones that don't have the community, you do too. You have social media, you have YouTube. There's all of these things that have opened up where you can actually use these people as mentors. You can shut out the world of the people that are not building you, and you can start listening to the things that are building you. So it's amazing what we have at our fingertips. It's just about alchemizing your actual situation with being very truthful with yourself. So I hope that makes sense.
Well, it makes perfect sense for me. And I loved how you brought up this idea how the underdog can go so much further than someone who has the strong foundation. And it's so true, because people can look at their situation, they can say, I'm hungry for more, or they can say, I'm always going to be starving, where it's just a mindset where we switch it. And I mean,
Yeah.
sure, I wish I can give everyone the mindset, like when they are the underdog, to get out of it. But most people, they fall victim to their circumstance. They're just like, well, this is just my life. This is who I am. And they don't have the role models, even though there's so many podcasts or so many books or so many events and seminars that they can go to enhance themselves. It's almost like they don't know. It's almost like they are unaware of all the capabilities and all the lavishes that they can partake in. And of course, yeah, we can dream about the good life, but then it's the same aspect of doing it. Now, I know for people who are like, where do I begin? Of course, you can go to Google and you can go search up whatever you're looking for, right? So if you're looking for a better mindset, of course, the podcast is probably going to come up. If you go to the library, you type in mindset in the computer, you're going to get a whole quarry of books on mindset, personal development. And right there, you can begin. But how many people are going to do the work when, especially, we have all of our streaming services, all of our social medias? There's a lot of distractions. And I wanted to get into the distractions because it seems as if the distractions can be stronger than some people's dreams of getting out of their circumstance. So if someone wants to pursue their dreams, they can believe in themselves to an extent. They give themselves tools, but they continually find themselves doing the wrong thing of maybe being on their smartphones or not showing up in a day or a week or a month. And then they come to the end of the year and they say, what happened this year? Oh, I'll try again next year. And it becomes a pattern where they keep on trying, which I love, but they don't create any traction. What do you say to those individuals?
So, with the Daydreamer Journal and with any journal, a piece of paper, chalk on the sidewalk. You can sit there and be accountable, but you have to keep it really simple. So, yeah, there's going to be distractions. And I think that you can think of it as bad distractions, or you can think these distractions, what did it feed me? There's something that's drawing you to this, whether it's finding a gal that's on Instagram and you just see how she starts her morning routine. And you watch her for like 2 months and you're like, I'm still laying in bed while she's like conquered the world and went to Pilates, at 5 a.m. But know that you are actually drawn to that. So it's just a slow process. And what you can do is you could start journaling and writing 3 things that you're grateful for, keeping yourself in the line of gratitude, but also 3 goals. So what I do is when you feel like you're a procrastinator, you feel like you're easily distracted, is that every morning you kind of prime your day, and at every evening prime your next day, just with 3 things that you're grateful for and 3 things that you are. You will start to actually become it, and you will live in the frequency of gratitude and know those affirmations like the back of your hand. You'll actually hear yourself saying that. So, for example, as you keep it simple, you have 3 gratitudes, 3 affirmations that you have to answer. This is not going to be hard. You know the question. Already a winner. You go through the day and you're actually looking for things that you're grateful for. So now you're in the frequency of I'm a winner, I'm doing great, like this is good. And then 3 things that you're going to say, like, I'm really good at this. I have to write this tonight. So I have to come up with something. And I certainly don't want to keep repeating that I'm grateful for my daughter. I'm grateful for my son. I'm grateful for my roof over my head. I want to start saying the little happenings in the day to just show how grateful I am. What that does is that shifts your mindset and it starts to break some of the I can't, I'm not, and I'm not special enough, or I don't have. And it starts to rewire in I'm grateful, I'm amazing, I know the answers. I keep getting the questions, at the end of the day, and I keep answering it. And then you all of a sudden, at a very lower level, you start to actually become the mentor and you start to suggest that other people are doing this as well. You start to create the environment and you start to find your people and your people start to find you. As you start to do that, those are micro habits that you're stacking over and over and over, while being distracted, while not being the meditator, while not being the person that gets up every single morning at 5 a.m. and hits the gym and has the Pilates class and goes out for drinks at night, or whatever the case may be. But we see a lot of this is what you should be doing. And we have to really pay attention to this is what I don't do. And even if it's like, I don't go to the grocery store and I waste my money on DoorDash and everyone says that's bad and I would have more money and I'm bad. We alchemize ourselves that I'm not bad. I'm saving my time. This is what works for me. I've created a budget. Do you see how you bomb proof the decisions that you make? And you start to go, I'm not really that bad at all. I'm killing it. And those distractions are no longer distractions. It's who you are. You're not the bad person. This is the life you've created. So we have to alchemize those mindsets of what's considered in society of distractions, needs, and wants. And you'll start to see that you're actually really already on the path to the goal that you really want to be on. You're just kind of like editing it, curating it so that you're winning.
Yeah. You talked about so many good points in journaling, and it started to give me this idea of, is there a bad way for someone to journal? And I started to think of the word diary, where diary and journal are two totally different things. But I know, especially men, they think of journaling as, you want me to write a diary? You want me to do what? Like, you want me to write all my feelings down? And even though there is an aspect to that, it's more than that. And I wanted to get your perspective on the powers of journaling, how it's different from, regular writing, regular diary entries, and how it could be more profound in someone's life.
So I just want to start off that there's no right way and there's no wrong way. I obviously have my own Daydreamer Journal. I have multiple. for business and for your dream life. But I also have an image on my social media where I have a stack of journals, other people's journals, notebooks that have blank paper that I've written front, back, sideways. What you need to do that's right for you is go, what do I need? So there were times where I actually needed it to be very simple and I needed to use the Daydreamer Journal because I couldn't think. If you're in fight or flight, guided is so great because it's just asking you the questions. And if it's repetitive, it's like very calming to the nervous system because you already know what the question is and you already know what the answer is going to be. It's going to be something from your heart. Very simple, very clean, very easy. But if you're dealing with something that you really need to get out, maybe the best thing for you to do is to grab a notebook. I think that a lot of people don't like to take pen to paper anymore. That is not bad. You can go into your notes on your phone. I've even suggested to people to go onto their notes and do the voice note and just talk. Sometimes hearing yourself speak, you can delete it after. You've already said it. You're never going to read it. It's like Pinterest. You're just pinning things. You're never going back to that. So those are other ways to journal. It's just by getting things out. If you want to sit in your car and talk to yourself and just role play of what you would have wanted it to be, that's another form of journaling. And so it just gives you so many different options. And to kind of go back to what you were saying is what's the right way and what's the wrong way and when to use it. I think that when you're going into your journaling is to number one, say, what do I need today? And pick out that notebook or pick up the phone or pick up whatever, or lay down and close your eyes and just say, not tonight, not tonight. And that's where you're starting to become, the architect of your life. And you're no longer going, I have to do this. It's contingent on my success. But your success is contingent on yourself and being aligned with yourself. So we have to get rid of some of these rules and restrictions because the restrictions is what's making you feel like a failure.
I can see so many people looking at it like, wow, like I didn't know I could do it that way. Because people are not taught how to journal. Like if you think about school, people are not even taught how to take notes properly. And I remember, I forgot what grade it was. I think it was like 7th grade where my teacher, she was a former lawyer. So she was a lawyer, then she became a teacher. She was like, I'm done with law. And it happens a lot with a lot of lawyers. They were like, I want something more fulfilling. So either way, she came in and she was like, all right, I need you to take notes on this. And the whole class is going to take notes. And she was like, I guess we're going to learn how to take notes today. So we all learned how to take notes. And it was so powerful because when you go into high school and then even college, you have to be able to take notes really well. Of course, even in meetings, as you have your careers, you want to take good notes, things like that. But then, what do we do with those notes? Most people, they'll just kind of put it in a corner. It just kind of collects dust. And before you know it, if they need it, they'll go refer to it. But oftentimes it's just one of those things that's like, why am I even doing this? Why am I even checking in? Why am I even, being accountable for myself at that moment? And all of this is to kind of talk about in a roundabout way of if we are journaling, we are learning things about ourselves in the moment and then hopefully in toward the future, meaning, okay, this is the goal. If you go to a meeting for any company, it's not so much of, all right, guys, let's talk about what went on a year ago. Yeah, sure. I'm sure there's going to be meetings like that. But
that works.
Exactly.
Too.
But they're going to be more into the realm of, let's look at what we're doing today. Is it working for tomorrow?
I just saw a clip on Instagram. It was on a Reels from The Devil Wears Prada. And the producer and director of Devil Wears Prada announced to the cast, he said, 20 years ago when we did the original film, because now they have the second series, I kept a journal. And they were like, you kept a journal? And he says, yeah, I never looked at it, but I went back to the 4th day of filming, and I said this was the worst day ever. And so he's working with the same exact cast, and he's seen these people now, they're 20 years older. They have children, their lives have developed, it's so different. And so he was able to reflect on growth. So not everything is meant for today. Some things are meant for you to reflect in the growth of yourself, the growth of humans that are surrounding you, and your own personal projects, and to see where I was and where I've gone and how I'm going to move forward. And it's like a nice time capsule as well.
I love that idea because I know when I did a lot of journaling in college where there was a lot of emotion, there was a lot of stress, I just said, you know what, let me give all of this stuff to the journal. Let's do that.
Do you still have them?
Probably somewhere. but it's probably something I'm not going to read, right? I gave myself a rule to not read it. So it was because I was always focused on let's do what's next. All right. And of course, I like to look at like pictures, like old school pictures and videos of myself. That's different than the journal, right? I don't want to rehash negative emotions, but what I can do is I can remember how I felt during those times, like how the stress was. And it felt like that was the end of the world, a breakup, it's the end of the world. And then it's just, you just get past it and you're just like, oh, it wasn't so bad. And it's like how people see money and stress. The people who have $1,000 problems are going to have the same stress as if you have $1,000,000 problem. So you're better off giving yourself $1,000,000 problems because it's the same stress feeling. So it's like, why not just have that bigger problem and deal with the more money aspect? And it's because people are just still living small. So it's like, how can we start to think bigger of ourselves? Because I think oftentimes we just see ourselves as the guy that grew up in the hood or the guy that or the girl that just a nobody in the class, right? The bottom of the barrel of the girls, because there's always going to be that paramount picture couple or paramount jock
Right.
or something like that. You're just like, whoa, like I wish I can be them. And I even remember like some popular kids in school. You're like, oh wow, they're so popular, I wish I was popular like them. But then now it's like insignificant. But then I understand the trigger for what happened at that time because it was something I was yearning for. And I know a lot of people right now, they're thinking, well, where do I begin? How do I start? Like, is there, events that I can join? Are there workshops that I can attend? Are these things like that I can incorporate into my life to get better at journaling and to get better at daydreaming, not in the sense of just doing nothing, but taking action toward my goals?
And if you are really lost, once again, go back to find a guided journal, and watch YouTube. If you really are open to YouTube, figure out who resonates with you. Don't like all your friends' posts. Maybe start liking only the things that feed your business and your soul, and think of your social media as a business. And the algorithms will start feeding you accounts that will really inspire you. And I think that would really help you get into that motion, especially when it comes to getting started. Because getting started is not the hard part. It's actually getting past day 3, 4, 5, or into week 2. So I did a journal workshop. Everybody was signed up and was like, I'm in it. And it was 30 days. And by week 2, it was like, week 3, they were like, but it's Thanksgiving, So getting started is not going to be the hardest part. It's just figuring out, okay, this is what is expected. Let's fine tune this to me to where I'm always lit up and on fire. And if I'm not, what do I need to pull? Do I need to go on social media and find something that really lights me up? Do I need to go get changed out of this outfit? And, do I need to not work at home and go out to a coffee shop or go into the office? That's what's killing a lot of people, is just staying in the house. But you have to learn. Remember, I have the toolbox. I am the architect and I am in control. What is going to light my soul up to get me through today, to keep me on this path? And as you make those things fun, you know yourself better. The journaling is all about just taking those dreams and keeping you really fine-tuning, not to manifest and have it just come in like magic, but for where you're actually going, I want this to look like this, I want this to be like this, and this is the reason why. And if I had this, this is what I would do with it. So if I want to be a millionaire and I want to have all of this money, this is what my life would look like. This is the house that I would live in. This is the way it would smell. This is the way it would feel. These are the people that would be around me. But with that money, this is the good that I could do. This is how I would use the money. This is how I would actually serve the community. As you start to do that, that's where the changes actually come into place. And that's true journaling and manifestation with plan to action.
I wanted to get into a success because I know one of the things that happen when someone does something, right? Let's say like a coach in like a sports, they can say, well, this is the program that really works, and they can create champions because of the program. And you know what happens when they create those champions? All the news media outlets, all the other coaches, they want to know the secret sauce. They want to know, hey, how did this happen? What are you doing to these kids? We want to know so we can replicate that for ourselves and for our teams. And I wanted to get a success story from one of your, it could be clients, it could be yourself, it could be a family member, whoever, that had true success in their daydream journal entries from the beginning to where they are into their life right now.
I'm going to give you two different examples very, very quickly that will give you kind of an idea. I had a stay-at-home mom. She came to me and she says, I'm happily married. I have 4 children. I don't have my own credit. I don't have income. I do not work for compensation. I work for my home. But we would like a little bit of extra money. We would like to get on the Dave Ramsey route. I would like to be out of debt, and we just need a little bit of grocery money. And immediately I said, let's get you the Daydreamer Journal, the entrepreneur. What exactly do you like to do when the kids are at school? What do you feel like you're great at? Well, she was really good at baking. So we started to go through the Daydreamer Journal and she went through it. After 2 months, she had slowly saved money from her grocery bill. She was able to get a permit and have her actual kitchen in that 2-month span become a commercial kitchen, making these little tweaks without really any help from her husband because he's busy doing what he is supposed to be doing for the whole family. So it wasn't like a chaotic situation. She started selling to the school, selling to the people that she knew. And as every single year went on and her kids started to be more independent, she was actually able to build that business into a brick and mortar and then able to start having multiple bakeries. So that would be one that started with the Daydreamer Journal back in 2017. So that was like my first wow. But going into another situation in real estate, I had a property. I rented it to a man. He says, I don't have good credit. I make almost $300,000 a year. I'm a trucker. I don't own my own truck. And I said to him, do you want to own a house? Well, I don't have the credit. He has the money. I don't think that that's for me. I still don't have my own truck. So he's paying out a lot of money. And we slowly got onto the Daydreamer Journal entrepreneur, but I worked with him closely and helped him build his credit, gave him some tricks, some ideas of how to pay it, how to get that down, and also just showing him to actually use the credit so that he can actually build the credit. And within 2 years, so not 2 months, 2 years, I signed another lease for him and I came to him and I said, are you almost ready to buy a home? And he says, I'm ready to buy a truck. Now we're going to go fast forward to 4 years. He's got 3 trucks. That means he's got 3 people actually working for him. He's no longer a truck driver. He's running them, he's managing them, and I put him in touch with lending. I put him in touch with a real estate agent. His credit was amazing. He has those trucks. He's paid those trucks off because of diligent, just putting, chop wood, carry water. And he's ready to buy his house. Did he buy a starter home? He went to what he felt was his dream home, something that he had never imagined himself being in. But he did the Daydreamer Journal every single 2 months. He had stacks of them. And he just chipped away at little bite-sized goals. So anybody can do it. Anybody can do it. It just depends on how far you really want to go.
Yeah, very true. And it seems as if it doesn't matter if it's 2 months or 4 years, our dreams can come true if we are diligent in that effort. And I know there's that saying, so many people give up right before the success, or they give up right before the glory. And I understand how challenging it can be for you to give yourself a lofty goal. And they say your dreams should scare you. And if you don't, they're not big enough. Well, sure, right? There's that saying, there's that mindset. But maybe a small dream, right? Like I think of underprivileged countries, right? Where they grow up with very little. And the only thing they want for their birthdays, maybe like a homemade cake and a 2-liter soda. We can get that with, like I can go like in my living room and look at like in the sofa and I can get that money for that. But, this is to say how just because their dream is big for them and small for me, should I belittle their dream? No. Like we should look at our dream as something that we should hold and we should cherish. And there's this idea that you should protect your dreams because there's going to be a lot of people who have dreams and that they might have given up on, and they might say, oh, you can't do that. Like that's not going to happen. So you have to be a person who protects your dreams. And I know how scary it can be to reach out to someone like Lauren and say, I have this dream, right? Because you're trying to protect it and you think not telling people about it is protecting it. And I'm telling you the opposite. Tell people about your dream, right? And to be hungry to get that dream and make it a reality. It's not going to be as easy as 1, 2, 3 all the time. But when you are consistent in that effort, you're going to see true progress. So, as we begin to wrap up, Lauren, I would love to, get some final thoughts, some final words, because I loved our conversation today, especially about this idea of how people can start. And even though they might not see the end goal, they can get there. So if you could just, again, tell us, some final words, and then how people can find you, start working with you.
Well, I'll just give you a little hint just to kind of build on to what you just said when you share. When you are feeling like you have a golden dream, we have this workshop at the very end of the weeks in the Daydreamer Journal, but I'll give it to you right now. Write down your dream on a piece of paper and write down why you think you're great at it, and then write down what you think people will say. I do this with even children when I go into schools. You're not good enough. You're not meant to do it. You don't have the money. You don't have the credit. You don't have this. You don't have that. Everything that you think that A, B, and C in your life is going to say to you. And then you start to write the debunk. I can do it because, and you look at that and you memorize those things. So when you're out and about and you've got all of those movements going and all this stimulation, and they say, you don't have the credit. I'm building it. I've got something planned. You don't have the money. I'm saving up for something extremely special. You don't have to explain it, but you already have debunked it. This is going to help you stay within self-trust, protecting your idea, and really leaving in control and shutting down the naysayers. So that's really important to learn, and it's a great journal tip.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, if you wanted to find me, you can find me personally on Instagram, which is Lauren.Madeira, or you can find The Daydreamer, which I have 3-minute meditations that are free that will help you learn how to meditate while keeping the mind going for all the people that say, I can't stay still, which is on the Daydreamer _journal _. And then my website, LaurenMadeira.com. And we have great workshops monthly, and we have a great talk, which would be the Daydreamer Live that's coming out on October 3rd. So you'll just have to see all those announcements come up. And I hope that we connect personally, respond to my DMs.
Perfect. And I'm going to make it easy for everyone. The links will be right down below. I encourage people to pick up a copy of the Daydream Journal. It's going to be something where in the beginning, you might say, well, like, what's the point of this, right? I'm just writing down some thoughts and feelings and maybe taking some action. But that is what we can use to build, right? Think of building a home, right? What's the foundation? Stone and sand, right? If you think about it. But if you mix it the right way, you get something strong, right? So if we do everything that we have to do in our days, in our weeks, our months, and our years, we can create something strong. And that right there is going to build that empire. The same thing with that trucker, right? He didn't have that dream of a house, and he skipped that starter home and went straight to his dream house. There is a process to it. So figure out the process for you. And of course, if you need some help, Lauren's going to be there to back you up all the way. And then, of course, to make sure that your dreams are protected and that you can dream bigger than you've ever dreamt before.
Absolutely.
So I do want to thank you, Lauren, for coming on, spending some time, and of course, talking about your work today.
Well, thank you, Michael. I really appreciate it.